Hey everyone, let me just get a little situated. Is that okay? Try this light. All right, sorry about this, guys. It's different from every platform that I'm on, so I need to. And hopefully, you guys can hear me okay. And I'm coming through my microphone because there was some weird technical things. I was trying to be hands free today, but it wasn't working. So here I am. Hello to everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. My name is Kristen Brown, and I am giving a talk here on YouTube called Empower Hour with KB. And what I do with this is I like to take questions that arise in the comment section and to expand on them. Also on videos that I make, because we have the short videos, then we have the what's considered long form videos, which are regular videos, and then we have YouTube lives, which to me are the extended long form. And the reason why I like to give YouTube live is because sometimes I can expand a little bit longer on certain topics that I talk about here because, questions arise for people. I also give a talk Monday through Friday over on the Noom Vibe app. Noom Vibe. I'm actually going to put that down here. This is a free app that I get on every single day, Monday through Friday, and give a talk for about 75 minutes. And it has everything to do with, let's see, that go? Yep. Has everything to do with anything to do with empowerment, self-love, relationships, boundaries, these type of things, the things that many of us are struggling through every single day. So today I am coming on because I did make a video. It was actually a round two of a video that I had made a couple years ago. And that video was titled, "Is the fear of being cheated on hurting your current relationship?" And so many people responded to that video via views and likes and whatnot that I thought, it's been 3 or 4 years. Let me do another one on that. So I did another video on that just recently. I think might have been the last one that I created. So it's fairly close up to the top on my video feed. And a question arose. And I thought, this is something that many people have questioned in their life, and especially if it's somebody that swirls around with the fear of being cheated on. So I wanted to address it a little bit more at length for you all. Okay, just need to clear my throat and didn't need to do that for you guys. Just wanted to expand on this a little bit more, especially for the person who reached out to me. So I'm going to read you their comment because I just thought, gosh, this is something that I've dealt with myself, just for a small short of time. I remember it was more in my younger years, quite a few decades ago. I do not have this fear anymore in any way, shape, or form. But I thought, if one person is feeling like this, there's many people that are feeling like this. And this message is from Dan lately, and Dan said, "So interesting you posted this tonight as this fear has started creeping up for me again. I'm taking it as a sign from the universe. Thank you. I really hope I can overcome this as I want a healthy marriage with my partner. I think, as well as the fear of being cheated on, and this is the important part, my biggest fear is the feeling like a fool, that they've done it for years and years behind my back, and I've not known when I could have been seeing other people also, but instead stayed devoted to this person. How do you overcome that also? It's hard," with an exclamation point. My response was that I want to expand on is it's important to remember if someone cheats, it says everything about them and nothing about you. Being honest, trusting, and loving is never foolish. It's beautiful and brave. The only person who looks bad in that situation is the one who broke the trust, not the one who gave it. It's not your shame, it's theirs. Keep the shame of the moral crime with the person who committed it. Now, this comes up for a lot of us. This comes up for some people because there is some deep rooted shame and unworthiness, which is often the root of many of our stuck places and the places that we are fearing something greatly. It's because there is some type of programming that is deep inside of us. There is a core that is happening here. So I'm going to talk to you about the ways that this core could be affecting you because it can show up in different ways. Because anytime that we think something is going to make us look bad because somebody else did it, that has to do with what we have going on inside of ourselves. And that's what I seek to, excuse me, I don't know why I'm so congested, help people heal on this journey, is that core wounding that we have, that empty unworthiness cup. Because when that cup is full, our entire landscape of our life starts to change. So, the root of being afraid of looking like a fool if someone is cheating is stemming from that place of shame and unworthiness. And at its core, it's not just about the betrayal because that's painful as well, but it's really about what that means about you. So we're like, oh my God, I don't want to look like a fool. So right there, we are putting our power out into the outside world and we're saying we're at the mercy of what everybody thinks of us, which is many of us have this fear of what other people think about us. Like I said, this is stemming from that unworthiness wound that we have inside, because when we see ourselves as not enough or there's something wrong with us, then often we will project that out into the world, and other people, we think that other people are going to say the same thing, which touches that core wound, and now we feel terrible. So in this particular case, someone might be looking out in the world, searching, trying to discover if this person is cheating, because way deep down inside they're afraid that if they discover that they find out later that this person is cheating, that it's going to touch that wound inside and they're going to feel so terrible. When oftentimes that's not even the case. What happens is people tend to see these situations differently than we think they're going to see these situations. And oftentimes people are like, "Oh, wow, that's terrible." I don't think I've ever had anybody say this to me, nor have I ever said this to anybody, nor have I've heard anybody say this about somebody else, something to the effect of, "You're such a fool. Why didn't you know? You're ridiculous. You're stupid. How did you not know this?" Have you ever heard anybody say that? Because I certainly haven't. So again, this has to do with what is going on inside of ourselves. So, here are some key emotional and psychological roots to this. One of those roots is that we fear judgment. And we are so afraid that somebody else is going to see us as naive, stupid, or weak for not seeing the signs, or that there is something dramatically wrong with us, or they wouldn't have cheated. So what we've done is we've taken this cheating on and we've made it about ourselves, when really and truly it's only about the other person. They're the person who made the choice to do so. Even if the relationship wasn't going stellar, even if there are things you were working on, whatever it might be, they're still the person who committed the moral crime. It has nothing to do with you. It has to do with their choice. So let's make this really small in understanding that they had a choice to cheat or not to cheat, and they chose to cheat. That's on them, because I know people who have been in really strained, dysfunctional, unhappy relationships for decades, and they never cheated. Then I know people who've been with the most amazing person in the entire world and they cheated. It has everything to do with the person who makes the decision to cheat. So we're afraid that the judgment's going to come on us, but really we're judging ourselves already because we feel unworthy. We feel like there's something wrong with us, and or they wouldn't have done this, or now we look like a fool, we look like an idiot. But you can't look like an idiot when you don't know something. There's many people out there that have to hire private investigators because they think something is going on, but they can't quite figure it out, or they can't get all the facts or the evidence that they need. I've been in that situation myself. I did not hire a private investigator because I trust my inner knowing, and of course, I was dead on. I knew because I felt it. I've been cheated on before. I understand what it meant. And for those of you who might be thinking, "Kristen, who are you to talk about this?" Well, I in 3 out of 5 of my long-term relationships, and I'm saying relationships over 2 years, 3 out of 5 of them, I was cheated on. And the other 2, one I know for sure, but the other one, that person could have cheated on me too. I've gone my rounds with this topic. I have felt the fears. I have felt insecure. I had created cheating scenarios where there wasn't even any, where I was looking and looking and looking. I was that person that feared being cheated on. So I come to you from experience healed. I come to you from a place of having filled my worthiness cup and knowing what's really going on. And one of the things is that stop I did was to stop fearing judgment coming from other people, because other people are going to think what they're going to think. But oftentimes we're afraid of what they're going to think because we already think that about ourselves. I want you to let that process a little bit. We already think it about ourselves. We think there's something wrong with us. We're naive, we're stupid, or we're judging ourselves, saying we should have known, or there's something wrong with us and that's why they cheated. So we already are thinking that way about ourselves. Therefore, we're going to project that into the outside world and believe that everybody else is thinking that same way when it's just simply not true. It's what we are projecting out there. So, this fear, they're calling it, some people call it social shame. We're so afraid of the social shame of it that we're going to try to stop it before it happens. And this is kind of a harsh truth that I hope you can understand. And that is that if somebody wants to cheat, if they're really that way, if they are wired that way, if they can't stop themselves, that means they're already very cunning and they're going to figure out how to do it without you knowing. I mean, I know that sucks. I know that hurts. That's not what a lot of us wanna hear, but we really can't stop it ahead of time. People are really good at what they do. Cheaters are cheaters. They're con artists. They're gonna figure out a way to work this out to dupe you, okay? But that doesn't mean that you're stupid. It means they're just really darn good at what they do. So we must put this in the right perspective, and that's how we start to overcome this fear, because Dan lately straight up said, he said, or they said, "It's hard," with an exclamation point. So that's why I wanted to expand on this so you all can see this from a different lens, a different perspective, because I am somebody who looks for changes in perspective to allow me to change direction. Because as soon as I learned these type of things myself and I adopted them and started to implement them into my thinking patterns, things started to change for me. And I realized that's not my problem. It doesn't mean I wasn't pretty enough. It doesn't mean my body wasn't good enough. It doesn't mean I didn't cook dinner good enough. It didn't mean anything. It just meant that this person is wired in a way that they decided that that was a good idea. Doesn't mean that has anything about me. So I hope that you understand that. The next thing is, a lot of times that we fear that we're going to look like a fool is because we feel like it's a reflection of our worth. Now, I touched on that already in the first one, because it can feel like I could have done better. If I was this, and this person wouldn't cheat on me. But the one thing that I've learned about cheaters in my entire journey of all these decades on this planet is that it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you are Jesus or Buddha sitting right there in perfect Zen pose and peaceful and all love. If a cheater is going to cheat, they're going to cheat because they're wired that way. Because oftentimes cheaters cheat, and I'm talking about chronic cheaters, because they need constant validation. I want you to think about that. They need constant validation. These are the chronic cheaters. Why? Because something inside of them, their unworthiness cup is not full. So that means if they get to the place, let's say they're in a long term relationship with you, and, as per normal, healthy relationships, issues come up and you start to talk about those issues. If this person has deep hidden shame and unworthiness, what could happen is they don't see you as a source of love anymore. They see you as a source of pain. Now, I know that's not fun to hear, because, like, how do I not talk about my problems? Well, this is not to tell you to not talk about your issues with them. We must continue to talk about our issues with our people, to see how they are wired. But if this is somebody who is so unworthy and so already carrying around so much deep shame that they decide they don't want to be with you anymore and they're going to go find somebody else, I promise you, it's just a matter of time until those same things come up with the next person. Unless that person is completely submissive and 100% passive and they don't say a word, they just sit there and go along to get along, and that means they're complete doormats, or they are trying to get something from that person that you are with, that they are now with. They're trying to get something from them, so they're just yes man or womaning them over and over and just doing whatever they want. Of course, that it would come up for them because it can't not, because in relationships, we repeat patterns. So that person who is with you is going to repeat that pattern with the next person. They can't not. So that's something that made me understand that this wasn't about me as well, because I watched the patterns after the pattern that happened with me, the behavior that happened with me. Because if initially I would take it personally, like, "Oh, I'm not good enough. There's something wrong with me. I'm an idiot. I look stupid. I didn't know." All those feelings that you might be feeling. And I realized, nah, this has nothing to do with me. This has everything to do with them. And they're just doing the same thing now with the next person. And there was several instances where I was privy to that information, where I was able to see it happening with somebody else. And I remember thinking, this wasn't about me. This was all about them. So it's not a reflection of your worth. It doesn't mean that you're not good enough. It doesn't mean that if you were bigger, stronger, faster, thinner, bigger breasted or bootied or smaller in those areas, or you had more money, that you wouldn't be cheated on. It has nothing to do with your worth. So please keep reminding yourself that their shame is theirs. They're the person that committed the moral crime, not you. If it was yours, if you did something to them, like you were, a narcissist, or you were chronically being emotionally or physically abusive and you push them into the arms of somebody else, well, that's a different responsibility that we need to take now, isn't it? But if you're just being the best person that you can possibly be, and this person does it anyway, that's just on them. And I will tell you, in my instances, I showed up as a very loving, generous, kind, hardworking, cleanly, meaning kept my spaces clean, my house clean, my car's clean. Like, there was really super supportive. There was really no reason that a person would cheat, right? It's like they had a great partner. But I was a recovering people pleaser. I was being the best partner I could possibly ever be, even going above and beyond. Now I'm healthy with it, but they still cheated. So you need to understand, deep down, this has nothing to do with you. Again, unless you're the person that had pushed them into the arms of someone else, because you might have been a little atrocious to live with. And that's something that you'll have to come to terms with for yourself. Take responsibility for that, that, you know what, I was really problematic in this relationship, and I can see why they decided that, they just needed to fly the coop because I was not being kind or gentle or respectful or whatever it might be. Another reason that we could be so afraid that we're gonna be played the fool is that the ego sees it as a loss of control. I talk about this a lot, and that means that we have two sides of our psyche. We have our higher self and we have our lower self. You can also see it as the angel inside of us or the devil inside of us, or on each shoulder. You can see it as love, you can see it as fear. Now, the ego side of us is always trying to control. It thinks we're going to die. Its job is to keep us alive. Its job is to protect us. So it's constantly going to feed us a load of BS, because that's really what it is. It's a load of bullshit. It's a bunch of pack of lies to make you feel small, because it knows the ego is the darkness. It knows that if you step into the light, light erratic, gets rid of darkness. You can flip a switch, you can flip on the light and get rid of the darkness, right? So anytime you go over to your higher self and you're doing things that are rooted in truth and in abundance and love, anytime you're over here, the light is switched on. So the ego is going to try to tell you that you have to control. It's going to be like, oh no, you better control. You better watch this. You better make sure this doesn't happen, because you're going to look like an idiot. You're going to look like a fool. You're going to be made fun of. It's just going to keep popping off in your ear. And the ego is the loudest and first voice in our head. It's relentless too. It doesn't stop. It's like somebody tapping you on the shoulder over and over again. It does not stop. So you're going to be like, oh my gosh. And you want to listen to this voice and follow this voice. But I'm hoping, based on this live that I'm sharing with you all today, that you start to come over to the side of the higher self, that you're hearing what I call capital T truth, truth that is not changing, not the truth, lower T truth, which means this is my truth. I like this movie. I don't like this movie. That's lower T truth is more of an opinion, but capital T truths are universal truths that are unchanging. And this is one of those. that if a person cheats, it's on them, it's not on you. They're the person who committed the moral crime, not you. You showed up as love, as tenderness, as kindness, as respect, as trustworthy. They did not. So you're over here in your light showing up this way. And to blame you for that is trying to say that the light is wrong. And the light can never be wrong. The light is always the right path. It is the capital R right path. So by blaming yourself or thinking you're going to look stupid is to go into the lower self. And that's where I don't want to see you. I want to see you sticking over here with your higher self. Okay. Um, Also, if you have not, sometimes we can see little flags along the way. And when we see flags, they could be true or not true. I call those pink flags. They're just little indicators that something could be going on. I talk about this in the video I just recorded, so I do recommend you go over and listen to that. Like I said, it was not too long ago, so it should be pretty high up on my feed. I think it was the last video I recorded. But when we might have indicators, all right? Now, these are indicators that are true indicators, not indicators that we're making up. It's not that we are being hyper vigilant and watching everything and watching their tones and their inflections and who are they going with and following them around and texting them constantly and checking their GPS, and all of checking their phone constantly, all these type of things. This is really like a little flag comes up and you're like, is something going on over there? When you start to see that nothing is going on over there, it is our job to start to trust the person. Because obviously we have fear involved with this. And so that fear is going to be tinging. Like I said, it's going to be knocking on our shoulder. It's going to say something's wrong, something's wrong. But when you start to be able to trust the integrity of your person, it's really important that you learn to heal yourself of this fear, because you will end up hurting the relationship. There's no other way to say it. The relationship is going to be hurt, or the person is going to be hurt because you're accusing them repeatedly of something that they're not doing, which is very harsh. That's just one of those realities that we need to accept is I got to heal this or else I'm going to cause a problem. Now, however, if that pink flag comes up and there is something to it, I need you to understand that is the soonest that you would know. It's not that I should have known 6 months ago. It's not that I should have seen this coming. There's We can't possibly know unless we're mind readers or have crystal balls. Yes, we have intuition, but intuition is going to alert us as something is happening. So we must be able to trust our inner knowing in those fields and reach out a little bit, do a little bit research, if you will, to see, am I right with this? Maybe ask a couple questions. But like I said, if you discover that that's not what's happening, then put it down. Put it down for now. Don't be chasing after it to create more problems. But if you do discover that something is going on, that's the soonest that you're going to know. You're going to know the minute that you know. You can't know a minute sooner because you just weren't supposed to know yet. That's just the way life works. You're going to know when you're going to know. And here's something that I think a lot of people struggle with, and that is that I want to be able to stop it. We can't stop it. I know that's harsh. We can't stop it. I have been in that position. This is wisdom talking to you, where I tried to be the best possible person that I could be, and I was, and I showed up in a very stellar way, and I still couldn't stop it. I couldn't stop it when I saw what I saw was, or even felt was energy, a vibe between my partner and somebody else. I felt it. I didn't say anything. I was just watching it. I started to ask little questions afterwards. His behavior was a little strange. And guess what? I was the person he ended up cheating on me with, but I couldn't stop it. I can't stop them from doing what they're going to do. So please understand that you're not a fool, you're not stupid, and there's nothing wrong with you, and you can't stop it. When you really settle into the truth of this, the reality of this is going to give you peace where you feel very discombobulated and flustered, because I sat in those truths. And I'm sorry, you guys, I have cats, and I think I have a cat hair swirling around my nose or something. Oop, there's another one. But when you can really adopt these truths into your psyche and settle into them and make peace with them, then if, likely not, but if it ever happens, you're going to be dealing only with the betrayal and the feelings of the betrayal and not this feeling that you're an idiot and there's something wrong with you. I do know people who have it wasn't a cheating situation, but it was a betrayal situation where they were being used in a particular area and they didn't see it. Well, they thought they didn't see it until I coached with them and asked them a lot of questions because they were trying to heal through this. And I coached with them around this, and there was signs, and they did see what was happening, but they did chose to ignore that. Now, if that's the case where you said, "Gosh darn it, I knew it. I knew this was happening, and I chose to do nothing about it. I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to push the limits. I didn't want to upset them, but mostly I didn't want to lose them because I didn't want to be alone." And again, this doesn't necessarily have to do with being cheated on. It could be something else. But then you discover that the thing happens anyway, or the person it ends up leaving you, and then now you're sitting here wishing that you would have known. This is where you have to forgive yourself because there are some wounds inside of you that contributed to you accepting the unacceptable, putting up with what you probably shouldn't have put up with, s- failing to speak up where you should have spoken up. And I know that's hard because you're going to be like, I'm so stupid. I'm so stupid. To judge ourselves never does any good. It does us no good. And I'm a person who has practiced self forgiveness for 15 years now. I have practiced it so much that it's automatic. I have quite literally retrained my brain to I make a mistake and immediately I forgive myself. I forgive myself because I know I did the best I could at that time. But this is why the healing journey is so incredibly important because we do have things inside of us that are contributing to certain behaviors. And when we get the backlash from that, when we don't have the thing worked out the way we wanted to and now we're stuck with some pain and we're hurting, and we realize, I could have done it this way. I don't use should haves. I could have done it this way. I could have spoken up. I could have said something. I could have recognized it, but I didn't. That's where we have to forgive ourselves. We must forgive ourselves for doing the very best we could at that moment in time. That is as good as it got at that time. And that's all we can do about it. That's all we can think about that. Because if we would have been stronger, if we would have not had this fear of abandonment or fear of rejection or a fear of confrontation, then we would have been able to speak up and to address the thing. But that still doesn't mean that the thing wouldn't have happened. And I want you to understand that. It still could have happened, even if you spoke up. I was very aware of this particular person I was talking about when I told you I could smell it, I could sense it, I could see it, I could feel it. The energy, the vibe was there. And even me bringing it up and speaking about it, it didn't stop it. He cheated anyway. So, this is about making peace with all of this and knowing your control only goes so far. And there's nothing that you can what's the word I'm looking for? Majestically change about yourself that's all of a sudden going to make that person not cheat. I want you to understand that you are not cheat worthy. The fact that somebody cheated on you doesn't mean it's because you are cheat worthy, which means you are not worth trust, that you are not worth somebody dedicating themselves to you. That is not what it means. It means this particular person made a choice to do the thing. And the thing was betrayal and it was a moral crime against you. And oftentimes when people cheat, you're not the only one that feels that because people that are around you, related to you, they're watching this whole thing and they feel that pain too. So oftentimes we think we're the only one stuck with this when there's other people that are around us thinking, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. That's so terrible. That must feel so bad to you." They understand, they're empathetic and they feel it too. So please don't think everybody out there is judging you because they're simply not. The last thing that could be contributing to the fear of looking like a fool is that being cheated on or some type of betrayal can rock your identity. It can rock your identity, and what this means is somehow your self-worth is tied to how together you look. Like, I've got this all together, and then all of a sudden, this person cheats, and that means that I don't have it all together. Once again, you could have it all together. You could be the most amazing mother and father and spouse and provider and doing all the right things, and your person still cheats. It has nothing to do with how together you are. I was a very together person when I was cheated on, and I was still cheated on. I was a very together person, and I still had people that had sex and porn addictions. I was together doing all of this. I've always been a very sturdy individual, a very loyal individual, a very morally sound individual, and these things still happened. So please know you can't stop it. You didn't create it unless you've been a jerk, like I talked about earlier, unless you push them into the arms of somebody else, and you can't cure it. S- Bro or sis has something going on inside of them. They have something, some insatiable desire inside of them, some need that they are going to go out there into the world and to find, regardless of how you're acting, regardless about how cool you are, regardless how loving you are, they're going to do the thing. So when you have it tied to how together you are or how intelligence you appear, it can feel someone cheating on you can feel like a personal failure. Again, I just have to keep reiterating, this is not your personal failure. Unless you are somebody who was very neglectful of your partner, or you were narcissistic with your partner, or yelled at your partner, abused your partner in some way, then of course that has something to do with you, because that will most definitely push somebody away over the long term. But we're just talking about standard protocol. You're going along in the relationship, you're a good person, and all of a sudden this person cheats on you. Has nothing to do with you. You did not fail. In fact, you did the opposite. You showed up as a beautiful, loving, trustworthy, loyal, committed person. Your moral self, the identity of who you are, has not been touched by their behavior. I'm still me. I'm still Kristen, no matter what those yahoos did out there. I'm still Kristen. And you know what? It gave me some contrast where I could look at, you know what? I'm not them. I'm glad I'm who I am. I'm glad I'm not the one that did that. I'm glad I didn't act like that. I'm glad that I'm not so desperate for attention that I did that. I'm glad that I show up trustworthy. I'm glad that my words and behaviors match. I'm glad that my partner can pick up my phone at any time. In fact, my current husband, we have each other's passwords. We have the same password. See what I'm saying? I'm glad I'm that person. I'm glad I'm happy. I'm at peace with who I am. So if you're a loving individual showing up, doing the things, trusting your person, and giving them complete personal freedom, which I call CPF, complete personal freedom, that doesn't mean cheating. That's not what I mean by personal freedom. I mean to be and do who they are and to be free in the world to express themselves in ways that feels good to them and to have the friends that make them feel good. When we're giving someone complete personal freedom, that's a beautiful thing because that is one of the greatest gifts that we can give a partner is complete personal freedom to let them be and do who they are. Again, this doesn't mean cheating. This doesn't mean, you have complete freedom to go cheat or to go rob a bank or to go steal something. That's not what I'm saying. Okay. I see you guys as very intelligent who are listening to this. And I know that you're going to pick up what I'm putting down. I'm talking about I trust you to go do you. Here's another thing too. I have seen oftentimes when people don't trust somebody and this isn't all the time, by the way, and they are continuously accusing their partner of cheating or something like that, then over long term, the partner might do that because it's so heavy. It weighs on them so much. And like I mentioned in the recent video, the person who is doing that is doing the receiving end, the person that's constantly being accused when they're not doing anything, that person is not being seen for who they truly are. And one of the things as human beings, the core of our nature is to be seen. to be seen as we are and to be appreciated as we are. And I like to be seen, I would love to be seen as someone who is trustworthy and loyal, that you don't have to worry about, who means what she says and says what she means. So to be accused of continuously of something that somebody else is trying to say that I did and I didn't, I feel really bad inside because I'm giving a lot of my love and attention to this person who doesn't see me and appreciate me for who I am. This is who I am. And you're not seeing that or appreciating that. I had a friend do that once. It's a long story, but but I won't share here right now. But they kept accusing me of something that simply wasn't true. And they went from, "You're my best friend. I love you so much. You're the greatest thing in the whole wide world," to these accusations that were 1000% invalid and there was no evidence for. But they had fears inside of them, and they kept throwing those fears on me, and it was extremely painful. And it ended the relationship eventually because I knew I was never gonna be seen and loved and appreciated for who I am because they had so much fear. So, again, we can push people out because we're continually accusing them of something that they're not doing. Again, we can't stop it. It's something that a lot of times people think we can. If I know about it soon enough, I can stop it. We can't. The best that you can do is to have a conversation with your loved ones. I have had conversations with my now current husband where I have said to him, they just come up randomly. So it wasn't for any particular reason, any particular fear, or any behavior that him and I did, but it was just conversation. I would say, you know what, if you ever felt like you were going to cheat on me, I hope you would tell me. Just give me a heads up and say, "Hey, I'm really kind of leaning this direction." I said, "Yes, it would hurt. It's gonna suck, but I'm not gonna yell at you because I'm gonna be grateful that you told me." And then typically when that happens in a relationship, you can work with the reason why. 'Cause there could be a reason why. Maybe they end up saying that they just settled for you and they just thought you were the next thing they were supposed to do, and they're really not in love with you. Or maybe somebody came in from their youth that they never got to explore that with, and now that person's all over them and they're just feeling this pull. Or it could be that they never dated. You're the first and only person they ever dated, and they wanna go out there and they wanna date, or they were someone who always waited to be chosen rather than did the choosing, and then you can have a conversation about that. Now, I don't wanna go way off on that topic, but I'm one of those people that really try to dot all my i's and cross all my t's in case anything comes up for you all, 'cause oftentimes it can. I have spoken live for a very long time. I have created content for a very long time, and I know the questions that arise within people. So I wanted to address that just in case. Also, remember that I speak live Monday through Friday on an audio app called Noom Vibe. I put it here in the comments, Noom, Noom Vibe. It is a free app that is associated with Noom, the weight loss company, but I only talk about my wheelhouse. I talk about healing our inner world to attract and create a better outer world. I talk about upgrading our energy in order to master or manifest the life and relationships of our dreams. I talk about healing hidden shame and unworthiness. I talk about boundaries. I talk about all things that have to do with personal development and self healing. So if this is interesting to you, download that app, Noom Vibe. Right now during daylight savings time, I am on 9:40. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, 9:45 Pacific time, AM, right now through Monday through Friday, and on not 12:45 PM Eastern time right now during daylight savings time. I'm in Arizona, we don't change our clock, so I always have to close my eyes and focus about the time because when we're off daylight savings time, it's gonna be an hour earlier than those times that I just shared with you. So if it's not a daylight savings time and you're hitting this live on the recording, to please know that if you're off daylight savings time, it's gonna be an hour earlier for each one of those. All right, so ultimately, this conversation was about being afraid of being the fool, and I wanna tell you that there's nothing you can do. There's nothing that you did do. You can't stop this ahead of time. If you are a standard good human being and your person decides to do this, that's on them 1000%. And please keep the shame with the person who deserves the shame. Please keep that with the perpetrator, the person who committed the moral crime. You did nothing wrong. They did. You couldn't have stopped it. You couldn't have known about it any earlier than you did find out about it. If you did ignore some pink flags and you didn't investigate, maybe there's something to learn for next time. What did I ignore? Why didn't I speak up? What part of me thought it was a better idea to be quiet? What was I afraid of happening? That's what personal growth and development is all about. It's about awareness. So what the more that you become aware, the more that you can heal. All right, I don't know, I got cat hair central today. I don't know why. I don't see them flying around, so maybe something's just stuck on me somewhere. But I do want to say thank you. Thank you for joining me. And by the way, if you haven't yet, here is an example of my self-love merchandise shop. Empowered women empower women. This is just one example. I have all kinds of other merch over there on the self-love merchandise shop. You will find that in the link tree in the description section of this live video. I appreciate all who came and who listened today. I love you. I believe in you. And I really, truly hope that Dan lately, oh, there is hair. I just saw one flying by. Okay, I'm not crazy. I just saw one went whoop right in front of them. It's a white hair. That means it's my white cat, Ollie. So I really hope that this lands with the people that it's supposed to land with. Anytime I create content, I put a little vibe out into the universe. Universe, please have the person that needs this the most to find it. So if that was you, I hope that you got something from this today. Maybe even listen to it twice, take some notes, and really start to retrain your brain in certain areas so that you can feel more peace. I want to feel peace every day of my life, and I'm sure you do too. Thank you for listening, everybody. So much love to all of you, and I will catch you next time.